stop. Before you keep scrolling, the exhaustion you feel around certain people isn't a personality conflict. It isn't a communication problem. It's your intelligence working against you. You've been told your whole life that being the smartest person in the room is power. It isn't, not the way you're using it. The sharpest minds you know are also some of the most drained, most misunderstood, most quietly furious people alive. That's not a coincidence. Schopenhauer identified exactly why 2 centuries ago, and nobody is talking about it. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it. You've been in that room, the meeting, the dinner table, the comment section that somehow pulled you in. Someone is speaking with the confidence of a surgeon and the accuracy of a horoscope. You feel it building, that pressure behind your eyes. Your brain has already mapped every flaw in their logic. You have the facts, you have the receipts. So you open your mouth and nothing happens. They blink, they double down. You leave the conversation exhausted, questioning your own sanity, and somehow they walk away thinking they won. You didn't lose because you were wrong. You lost because you were playing the wrong game entirely. Stay with me, because what comes next changes how you move through every room for the rest of your life. Here's the trap, and you are almost certainly in it right now. You operate under a hidden assumption so deep you've never questioned it, that other people value the truth, that if you present the right evidence clearly enough, they'll update. That logic is the universal language of human minds. Schopenhauer called this naive optimism, and he destroyed it. In The Art of Being Right, he documented something that psychology would later confirm with clinical precision. People do not argue to find the truth. They argue to feel dominant. The goal was never the answer. The goal was always the win. Daniel Kahneman split the human mind into 2 systems. System 2 is slow, rational, evidence-based. That's where you live. System 1 is fast, emotional, reflexive. That's where they live. You're not having a debate. You're making a translation error. You're speaking mathematics to someone running entirely on instinct. And worse, this is the part that should make you furious. They are spending 0 energy doing it. You are building a carefully engineered argument. They are simply refusing to receive it. They're not outsmarting you. They're outlasting you, draining you, not through intelligence, but through raw, shameless endurance. The Dunning-Kruger effect completes the trap. The less someone knows, the more certain they feel. Doubt requires the capacity to imagine you might be wrong. The profoundly incompetent lack the exact cognitive tools needed to detect their own incompetence. They don't feel uncertain because they structurally cannot. And here's what Schopenhauer concluded. You cannot fix this with a better argument. You cannot logic your way past a wall that isn't made of logic. So what do? You stop fighting their position. You weaponize it. Schopenhauer's most savage move was reductio ad absurdum, not as a philosophical exercise, but as a psychological weapon. You do not disagree with a fool. You agree with them so completely, so enthusiastically, that you accelerate their argument straight into the ground. Someone tells you anyone could make great art. It's all a scam. Don't argue technique. Don't cite art history. Lean in. Nod slowly. You're completely right. We should quit today. Buy canvases this afternoon. You paint, I'll find the gallery. We'll be millionaires by Friday. Why are we even here? Watch their face. You haven't attacked them. You've validated them entirely. But you've pushed their logic 3 steps forward. Somewhere they never bothered to look. Their brain short-circuits. They backpedal. They suddenly inject nuance into the argument they were defending with full conviction 30 seconds ago. You didn't beat them with your intelligence. You beat them with their own stupidity. But here's what makes this hard. And this is the part most people skip over, because it requires something genuinely uncomfortable. You have to kill the part of you that needs to be recognized as right. That craving is your real vulnerability. It is the exploit they don't even know they're using. Every time you chase the satisfaction of their concession, you hand them the remote control to your emotional state. You're giving a person you consider inferior the power to destabilize you. Schopenhauer was ruthless about this. Why do you need a blind man to confirm your painting is good? Why does the verdict of a broken instrument determine your value? Drop the need, not forever, just with them. The moment you stop needing them to acknowledge your intelligence, you become immune. Their provocations land nowhere. You step out of the ring entirely. You stop being a fighter. You become an observer. But what about when the fool has power over you? When they sign your paycheck, control your promotion, sit at the head of the table? This is where it gets darker. And this is where most intelligent people make their most costly mistake. A person of limited intelligence who has acquired power is not just difficult. They are dangerous. Because on some primal level, they can sense they are outmatched by the minds around them. They don't process this as motivation to grow. They process it as a threat to their survival. If you walk into their world and display your brilliance, you are not demonstrating value. You are holding up a mirror to their inadequacy. And a frightened beast with a crown will shatter the mirror before it admits what it sees. They won't attack your intelligence directly. They'll call you difficult, not a team player, hard to manage. They'll use the system to slowly bleed you out. Schopenhauer was explicit. Displaying exceptional intelligence in the presence of mediocre power is, in his words, an unpardonable sin. So you don't fight them on the battlefield they control. Sima Yi understood this. Arguably the greatest military strategist of the Three Kingdoms era, he found himself trapped beneath Cao Shuang, a regent of enormous power and breathtaking incompetence, deeply envious of everything Sima Yi represented. A direct challenge meant death. So Sima Yi faked illness. When spies came to assess him, he performed the role of a broken, dying old man, dropped his soup, confused names, stared blankly. The spy reported back. Cao Shuang laughed. He felt superior. He felt safe. He stopped watching. The moment Cao Shuang left the capital, Sima Yi rose from his sickbed, orchestrated a lightning coup, and seized the empire. Cao Shuang lost his head because he believed the performance. Sima Yi understood what Schopenhauer understood. Your intelligence is not a badge you wear. It is a concealed weapon, and you do not draw a concealed weapon to show off. When you're dealing with a powerful fool, feed them the one thing they are starving for, the feeling of superiority. Ask for their advice on small things. Let them correct you on irrelevant details. Thank them warmly. You are not submitting. You are anesthetizing them. You are giving their ego just enough to fall asleep at the wheel and leaving yourself completely free to operate. You trade a small scratch to your pride for total freedom of movement. Now, the part nobody wants to hear. There is a specific exhaustion that comes from years of trying to save people who never asked to be saved. The broke friend who argues economics but won't change a single habit. The family member who is always the victim, always the center of the storm, always somehow surrounded by the same chaos everywhere they go. How many years have you given to this? How much sleep? Cognitive load theory tells us that mental bandwidth is finite. When you spend your energy navigating someone else's irrational reality, predicting their unpredictable reactions, managing your own frustration, walking on eggshells, you're burning resources you cannot recover. Your creativity atrophies, your decisions degrade. You become a version of yourself you don't recognize. And here is the cruelest part, documented by Kruger and Dunning in 1999. The skills required to recognize incompetence are the exact same skills the incompetent person lacks. They are sealed inside a fortress of unearned confidence, structurally unable to see the walls. You cannot drag them out. They don't want out. The fortress is warm. It protects them from a reality that would be genuinely shattering to face. You are not a healer entering that fortress. You are an invader, and they will fight you like one. So here is what Schopenhauer's philosophy demands, and why it is the most freeing thing you will hear today. See reality without the comforting distortions you were conditioned to layer over it. Most people cannot think critically. This will not change. Accept it, not with contempt, not with cruelty, but with the clean, clinical clarity of someone who has finally stopped arguing with weather. You do not debate a hurricane. You do not try to educate a flood. You board up the windows. You move to high ground. You let the storm exhaust itself. When you stop fighting them, something shifts. You watch the same interactions you used to dread. And instead of the pressure behind your eyes, you feel something close to calm. You can see the cognitive biases operating in real time. The ego defending itself. The System 1 response dressed up in borrowed logic. It becomes predictable, and what is predictable can be managed. You stop being a participant in their chaos. You become the architect of your own silence. Remember this. Write it down if you have to. Intelligence is knowing you are right. Power is not needing them to know it. Intelligence is winning the argument. Power is winning the objective. While they think they won the argument, keep your intelligence concealed. Deploy it selectively. Share it only with the rare minds capable of receiving it. And for everyone else, give them just enough to keep them quiet. Then build your empire in the silence they leave behind.